Hello, hello. This is Christina, your host today, and today's new episode of KSM Podcast, Growing Business Online with Christina. I have such a pleasure to have my special guest speaker today again on podcast, Growing Business Online with KSM Podcast, Growing Business Online with Christina, a lady far away from Africa, Nigeria, lady Omu Obilor. Omu, welcome to the new episode of KSM Podcast.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Christina, for having me again.
That's lovely, you were my guest speaker, and I'm super happy. Maybe it was a year ago. And can you introduce yourself, who you are, what you do, and what is in your life between that part time when you were in my podcast for the first time?
Okay. Thank you, Christina. Life is good. I'm very grateful and I'm happy to be alive, hale and hearty. My name is Omu Obilor. I live in Lagos, Nigeria, and I work globally as a speaker, a trainer, and a coach, and a mentor. Um, I do this both online and in person. I absolutely love traveling, so I grab any opportunity to travel whilst still impacting lives. I love to see people achieve success in different areas of their life and help them define what success actually means to them. That gives me utmost pleasure.
That's lovely. And as as you mentioned it, I know from our previous episode, when you were a guest speaker, you mentioned that you like positivity, like positive people, and like when people are happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is adopting a positive mindset is a total game changer. And I didn't understand it until I started practicing it.
And you mentioned you're a coach, you're a speaker, you're a trainer. In terms for our listeners, what was your background and how did you start your business? What triggered you to be a coach, to be a speaker, to be a traveler, just like to travel around the world and connect with people and speak also, of course.
Okay. So, full disclosure, I will not call myself a people person. That's an aspect of my life that I'm still learning. That said, I love culture, I love experiences, I love exploring. I like to see the world from diverse perspectives and experience different cultures in terms of way of life, lifestyle, food, whatever. Um, my background is actually in computer engineering, so I'm an engineer. And my journey to coaching, speaking, and training, I would say, did not start intentionally. I started with wanting to develop myself. And when the John Maxwell team started in 2011, I joined as a founding member of the John Maxwell team. And at this point, I had zero plans of becoming a coach, a speaker, or a trainer. I I didn't even see myself as one because as far as I was concerned, I needed to do a lot of work on myself and I wasn't in a position to do that work on other people. So my journey started with the John Maxwell team. And as time went on, when you learn something and it works for you, spontaneously you want to extend same to people around you. So I found out that I would speak with people, I would train people without formally calling myself a coach, speaker, or trainer because I didn't want to take responsibility. and and then I joined BNI, and BNI kind of helped me with my public speaking because you have to get up to speak every week anyway, so that you couldn't run away from that. And Slowly but surely, I developed a knack for helping people. And I really don't like using the word help. I developed a knack of working with people, taking that journey with them because they're helping themselves as well. I'm just there to guide and give additional support and provide accountability. And I started developing that. And that was basically how it started, one step at a time. In terms of speaking, I would say that BNI was a total game changer for me as well, because that kind of gave me confidence. And I would say my first platform to actually address people on a weekly basis. So that's basically my story. As time went on, I had people ask me to mentor them. And I'm also a firm believer in not doing what you don't know or haven't been trained to do. So I thought to myself, yes, I might know how to do things, but that doesn't mean that I really know how to mentor people professionally. And so I did a few certifications and courses, and that found me being a cool startup mentor and also an official mentor in several other platforms.
That's congratulations on that. And I know we met in a Brains magazine group, Brains magazine guest writers. And I'm super happy with that. And you're also executive contributor, which
Yes, I am.
in Brains magazine. That's lovely.
Yes. So
and
for me, because I'm not a people person, that's actually part of the way that I communicate.
yes, and you mentioned BNI. This is such a great platform for connection, for global connection, and to support you in terms to build your business, to grow in terms of educating yourself in a way what you wanted to do in your life. And as you mentioned, the focus of KSM Growing Business Online is dedicated and to entrepreneurs who wanted to spread the word, who wanted to spread their word about their business, and who wanted to connect people globally in terms to develop and research new market on a global level. And because of that, for our listeners, I always ask my speakers something what I wanted to learn, what I have questions all the time, and then I got many answers, and I learn still. Also, and in terms of your training and coaching, who are mostly your clients? Do you work with women, men, and just what is your experience with them? And when they work with you, how they feel after that? What they can you share with us, because just you will give maybe some audience to connect with you and try to see how do you do that, just like to help them, maybe someone wanted to start business or is in stock or something like that.
To be quite honest, I have a mixture of clients in terms of gender. Because I do executive coaching, I generally coach executives and they come in different genders, irrespective. I get along very well with men. And that used to be a challenge for me because I felt I wasn't good enough to work with women. When I discussed with my own coach and I did a lot of work on myself, I realized it wasn't that I wasn't attracted to women or that I realized it wasn't that I couldn't work with women. I realized it was a mindset thing on my part, which I worked on. So I work very well with women and men, not along the business lines in terms of figures, but along the executive line, positioning, mindset, personal development, executive presence. And that said, usually when I say executive, some people feel like, okay, it's upper. I also have group coaching sessions and I also work with startups. So for me, it's more when people ask me, people I work with, I look more into your mindset that you're ready to learn, ready to change yourself, ready to work with me, as against whether you're a man or a woman or at a certain level.
And do you have some kind of freebie like or something like that for listeners? Maybe I will put that and share a link
Yes,
that people can see and connect with your coaching, maybe something for like a workbook or whatever, maybe
absolutely.
checklist, just to see how.
Absolutely. I have a free workbook for called something I call Living Your Best Life, which I think that everyone absolutely needs. And I'll share the link with you, and
Yeah, I
everyone
will
is
put
welcome
the
to.
link below in audio version on Amazon and on Spotify and Apple. And also it is going to be in my group, KSM Coaching and Consult group and video podcast. And yeah, that's lovely, So and you mentioned you work with the executive. Uh and you mentioned, okay, people just mean that this is a level, this is position. But in terms of positioning, do you think that you work with people who are business owners, or there are people who work for some companies like you for for big corporation, and they are so positioning in those corporation?
So I work with people who work for corporations. In fact, some corporations get me to work with their staff. I also work with executives also because it's not a one size fits all approach, which is why I said a lot of times it's more about the mindset because everyone wants to be a better version of themselves.
Yeah, and so we need to change mindset. We need to work inside of us and so see what are the problem, what are pain points that we can express it and be better version of ourselves.
Or most of the pain points is people who think that they can't go above where they are now. They feel like this is it for them, but they honestly want more. Um, some others are confused, especially at this time when the world seems like nothing is normal anymore. A lot of people just feel like there's nothing in it for me, short of using the word frustrated. Or they get to crossroads and they really don't know which way to go. And then there are lots of people who also feel that they're not good enough to get to where they want to get to, or what they're aspiring to become, they believe belongs to a certain category of people.
Yeah, yeah, this is so true. And yeah, and you help them to move forward into that way, into that space. Yes, that's amazing. And what I wanted to say, to ask you, in terms, you start running your own company, your agency, or what is your business in terms as a business owner? What
Consultant.
consultant? Yeah.
It's a consultant, yes.
And in terms of speaking, what are mostly the topics which you use to speak with,
So
or
I have a
just
signature.
you know about event and you go there and speak?
Sometimes I'm called to speak at events that are not readily, like I spoke at a tech event, and that wasn't very strange to me because remember I said I came from an engineering background. But when you look at my immediate profile, you might not find that. Um, Generally, I would tweak my talk to suit the event. That said, I have a signature talk called Living Your Best Life, which is a blanket. It's quite vast and open. Everyone wants to live their best life. I also have a signature talk on networking. So, but by and large, I would tweak the talk to suit the event.
Yeah, that's lovely, And I'm super happy when you mentioned that you work globally, And do you have some of your favorite speeches or country where you spoke there?
I'm a bit confused, but I think that the one that comes to mind would be the last engagement I went for in South Africa. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I wouldn't say it was the biggest in terms of crowd, but for me, it was very impactful because I felt I was giving back to my continent, and there was something very wholesome about it.
Yeah, that's lovely, you know. So I'm super happy with that, what you shared today. And in terms of, you know, I know, do you still run your podcast? I know that you're a podcaster as well. Just can you share about
Yes,
it with us, maybe about guest speakers or how people can connect with you in terms to be your guest speaker, and a little bit about content of your podcast?
yes, I do. I run two podcasts. I actually run the Thrive with Omu podcast, which is a podcast where we just share stories of how people have overcome different situations to get to where they are. Because I discovered that with the social media, we just see successes. We never see the backstory. And so when people go through challenges, they feel like they're alone. And there's a tendency to compare yourself with that person you see on social media without knowing the challenges the person has gone through. So that podcast really is about people talking about the challenges they've been through and how they got there and how they overcame it. And it's been an eye opener for me and for quite a number of my listeners. The other one is Network Kingdom, and that was born out of a desire to put my networking skills to use online and network with people who I ordinarily would think are way above my league. And that's from something we train about in BNI called networking up, where you're meeting people you believe are above you or who've done greater things, especially in your area of expertise. And they come to share how they got to where they are. And it's more of a teaching series, they're teaching something. And that particular podcast, I've had people like Ivan Meissner, I've had Bob Berg, I've had Victor Hansen, Mark Victor Hansen, Forbes Riley, quite a number of people have been on it and they've blessed our lives as well.
And when you mention Ivan Meisner and all those very, very famous guest speakers, is it easy to connect with them and invite them to be a guest speaker on a podcast? Because I'm just talking to you in terms that there will be audience and podcasters who will listen to this episode, and maybe they have in their mind to connect with people, such amazing and famous people, to influencer in some way, to connect and to share episode and have their day in their episodes of as guest speakers.
To be quite honest, Ivan Meister had done a training which blessed me, and it was called Networking Up. And it actually broke that mindset of us feeling like we couldn't reach out. They also want to hear from us just like we want to hear from them. And there's always something you give, and there's all just as you're getting from them. And when I decided to take that bold step, the second person that I reached out to, or the first person I reached out to, but his interview, I think, came second, was Mark Victor Hansen. And in my mind, I was like, oh, chicken soup for the soul. How am I going to reach him? Another person that I interviewed was the guy that founded Siri, Cheye. He's called something Cheye. I apologize. He founded Siri and also change.org. And in my head, why would they respond to just a message, an email, or a message on LinkedIn? But they did. And they were extremely gracious and impactful. And so we are the ones that build that wall around them and create monsters of them. They are very happy to hear from you. And when I interviewed Mark, he also talked about a book he had just written called Ask. And I immediately read the book, and it also gave me more guts to just ask.
Yeah, that's lovely, you know, and you're so blessed when you have had chance to connect with those people and in hosted them. This is really fantastic. And Omo, what is your favorite?
And his name Adam Cheye, I apologize. It skipped me. Adam Cheye,
Go
that's the guy
ahead, go
that
ahead.
found Siri. That's the guy that found Siri and changed the org. Adam Cheye, and he was amazing.
That's lovely, really. And what is your when you work with you work globally? What I think that you're present on all those platforms on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. What is your
Yeah.
favorite platform, and how potential clients, leads connect with you, and how do you work? How do you create that way to connect with your potential clients, leads, prospects? It could be
So I
interesting
don't,
for our listeners just to share your experience.
to be quite honest, I don't have a favorite platform. I'm on them for for business. I go on them for different reasons. I find that LinkedIn gives me official corporate connection. I've also met professionals on Facebook and Instagram, but LinkedIn for me just tailors it, and there are higher chances of meeting or networking with professionals. But that said, I've met amazing people on all the platforms that I'm on. So it just depends on what I'm talking about or who I'm looking for or what I want to post, really. I wouldn't say that I have a favorite.
Yes, and in terms of LinkedIn is such a established platform, and I mean that algorithm works to connect you with your content than Facebook,
Absolutely.
which is in connection with profile. I mean, and this is difference.
Yes. But what I make sure that I do is I leave a call to action. So wherever you are and you want to connect, there's always something to connect with.
Yes, that's really lovely. And for our listeners who wanted to start, you mentioned you also work with startups in some way in a coaching part. For listeners who wanted to be entrepreneurs, or what would be your message to them, just to share with us, to encourage them to
Um,
start their own business, or they wanted to change
uh,
something in their business?
I would say two things. One is a clear vision, and the second one is do it afraid. Everything would not be exactly the way that you want it for you to start. Sometimes things begin to unfold. Like I would always say to my son, if I was coming to Serbia, I will start the journey, but I don't know what Serbia looks like. I don't know the weather in Serbia. I will start the journey. I don't even know what it looks like 2 kilometers away. I would just proceed and trust the process and go one step at a time. So there are no, but I would make sure that I book a flight. I'll make sure that I use an airline that I trust. I would make sure that I book my hotel rooms. So I would make sure that I dot all the I's and cross all the T's and do all that I need to do within my power. Same thing with your business. So when you've created your vision, asked your why, made sure that you've done all that you need to do. You would have to trust the process and do it afraid. Each step of the way, when you meet a challenge, you solve the challenge, but don't preempt the challenges before you get there.
Yeah, that's lovely. And how listeners can connect with you. You mentioned your website and where people, and we mentioned that you will share also your freebie, your workbook,
Yes.
and how people can reach out to you and connect with Omu Obilor.
So they can reach out to me via my website. There's also a link to book a consultation. I'm on Facebook as Omu Obilor. I'm on LinkedIn as Omu Obilor. I'm on Instagram as Thrive with Omu.
That's lovely,
And common names. So I'm sure even if they Google Omu, they'll find.
Yeah, when you Google it, you will find out immediately with many connection and linked, like a backlinks or so. Omu, I asked you many questions today, and I feel such a I'm super happy to have you today as my special guest speaker. It's my honor
Thank
to have you again, and you share such amazing story. Thank you
you.
so much for being my guest speaker today, and
Christina.
join to me and give your time with me to share and bring to the table your knowledge and story for our listeners. Thank you so much, and I see you maybe next year, because it will be like every single year to have you one in my new episode. Thank you so much, and
Thank,
blessings.
thank you so much. I appreciate. Thank you.
Goodbye and best wishes to you and your family. Bye
Bye.
for now.